Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome.
Bon après-midi à tout le monde et bienvenue sur notre mise à jour sur les efforts de rétablissement d'électricité.
Sur la stratégie sur les efforts déployés à la suite de la tempête et sur le rétablissement du courant. This afternoon's speakers in the following order. Nicole Poirier, Vice President, Operations NB Power. Kyle Levitt, Director, New Brunswick Emergency Measures Organization, and the Honorable Chris Austin, Minister of Public Safety. Les porte-paroles aujourd'hui dans l'ordre suivant sont la vice-présidente d'opération d'Énergie Nouveau-Brunswick, Mme Nicole Poirier, le directeur de l'Organisation des mesures.
We will have Nicole Poirier, we will have Kyle Levitt, and the Public Safety Minister, Chris Austin, will be with us today.
À la vice-présidente, voulez...
Please turn your microphones off.
To Vice President Poirier, I would like to remind everybody online, please ensure your microphones are placed on mute. Madame Poirier.
Can everyone hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Merci tout le monde. Yesterday, Atlantic Canada, along with our neighbors in the U.S., were hit with a major weather system that has significantly impacted operations for utilities across jurisdictions, and more importantly, has impacted you, our customers. I know how difficult it is when you have no power, so I truly appreciate your patience and understanding as we work hard to restore your service. Here in New Brunswick, as of 1:45 p.m. today, over 88,000 customers are without power. We understand that being without power is difficult, and I wanted to take the time to provide you with a good understanding of the current situation. With over 27,000 kilometers of line in New Brunswick, getting the power back on after a major storm like this is a big job, but we're ready for it. We have a team of over 700 people supporting restoration efforts. Comme notre réseau a suffisamment de lignes pour traverser le Canada.
With enough line to stretch across Canada 4 times, getting the power back on after a major storm like this is a big job, but we are ready for it. We have a team of 700 people supporting restoration.
Right now, with the impacts we are seeing, we are collaborating with our response partners at New Brunswick EMO to restore power to critical services like hospitals, police, and fire. We are also dealing with emergency calls that may impact public safety. Once that is complete, we'll make repairs that will return service to the largest number of customers in the least amount of time, such as high-density housing and large neighborhoods, and then we restore power to smaller neighborhoods and individual customers. We are also dealing with outages to our transmission network. Think of the transmission network as the Trans-Canada Highway and the distribution system like the smaller streets in your neighborhood. Outages to our transmission network can impact a large number of customers. So we have a dedicated team dealing with these outages to ensure restoration as soon as possible. It may seem straightforward, I know, but we know how much work it entails. For each of the 1,255 outages, a team has to assess the damage and then make the necessary repairs. In some cases, 1, 2, 3 vehicles in order to make repairs. It's too early at this point to provide a specific time frame, but it will take time for us to restore power to all impacted customers, and New Brunswickers need to be prepared for prolonged outages. Again, thank you for your patience and understanding. Il est trop tôt pour fournir des délais précis, mais
it is too early to provide a specific time frame, but it will take time for us to restore power to all impacted customers. New Brunswickers need to be prepared for prolonged outages. Thank you for your patience.
It's our top priority for our employees and New Brunswickers. If you see a down power line or vegetation on the lines, make sure you stay away at least 10 meters and also report if you can. In closing, our team is committed to working through these very difficult conditions to restore power for you. We will keep you informed and we will get your power back on to you as soon as safely as we can. We won't stop until all customers are reconnected. Quelles que soient les conditions, nos équipes sont déterminées à mettre en œuvre notre...
No matter the conditions, our teams are dedicated to working through our restoration plan, keeping you informed, and we will have power back on for New Brunswickers as soon as we safely can.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As we've all seen in social media and in the news, the storm's impact has been severe and widespread. Some roads are impassable. Many buildings have been damaged and there are many power lines down. The impact is extensive, but I am not aware of any injuries. And while we're thankful for that, the threat from the storm is not over. As mentioned, there are down power lines. Do not touch or approach them under any circumstances, as you just heard. If you come across one while on foot or while driving, turn around unless you can get around them safely, 10 meters minimum distance. Damage to New Brunswick power infrastructure can be reported at 1-800-663-6272. Please avoid the areas where MB Power crews are working. They have a lot of work to do, and spectators will only get in the way and slow them down. If you're using a generator, do so safely. We've seen tragedies in the past because people have used generators improperly. Never use one indoors or near windows or doors. There is information on the MB-EMO and the MB Power website on how to operate a generator safely. There has been some considerable impact on the roads across the province. If you have to drive, please check at 511.gnb.ca before leaving. If you come across any damage to provincial roads or bridges, you can report it to 1-833-384-4111 or to transportnb@gnb.ca. There's a lot more information about the storm and the recovery process on the following website, gnb.ca/storm and gnb.ca/tempet. Lastly, if you can do so safely, check on your neighbors and vulnerable friends and family, not just today, but as the days to come. Restoring power to more than 100,000 customers will take some time. It's safe to say that no one wants to start the holiday season this way, but I expect New Brunswickers will tap into their giving nature and help everyone get through this together. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking Kyle Levitt, EMO Director, Department of Public Safety, and Nicole Poirier, Vice President of Operation MB Power, for being here and giving us this important update. I'd also like to thank all of you that are here today to help us get this message out, those of you that are watching online, to get the information in relation to this recent storm that has had a significant impact on many New Brunswickers. You know, when we have severe weather like this, it really drives home the importance of working together. And we do have strong partnerships in this province, not only with the people in this room today, but I'd also like to acknowledge the great work of the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. I know they've been working very hard to clear roads and to ensure that people can get to where they need to go. Municipalities have played a significant role, especially the ones that are mostly affected. Fire departments, volunteer fire departments that are working the scene, helping with these events. It is appreciated very much by residents. We have learned many important lessons from previous storms. As Nicole had mentioned, at its peak, there was more than 100,000 New Brunswickers who were without power due to Monday's severe rain and windstorm. Those numbers are slowly coming down, but we know there's been significant damage in areas like Charlotte County. We're happy to report that people can get into and out of Blacks Harbor once again. I know there were some trees that were down blocking travel there, but that route has been reopened. And of course, MB Power and EMO have been busy keeping on top of the situation, providing updates through social media. As Kyle had said, there are warming centers open throughout the province, and I want to encourage people to use them if you are without power. I know the temperatures are rather mild today, but over the next several days, they are going to be a little more seasonal, and they are going to drop. And there's a complete list of these warming centers. So if you're not sure where to go to gnb.ca/storm, and there's a whole list of community centers that are near you to get a cup of coffee, to charge your devices, and stay warm. Lots of damage, of course, and many parts of the province is affected. That's why this will not be a one-day event. power crews, as Nicole had said, are working as quickly and diligently as they can. There are branches and trees down on power lines, and some locations are remote. And of course, that takes longer for crews to get to be able to clean it up. So I'm asking fellow New Brunswickers, please be patient. I know it's frustrating going without power, but they are working hard at restoring that power. If you don't have to travel and you're in an area that's been hard hit, probably best to stay home if possible. And as the Minister of Public Safety, of course, it's my role to help coordinate our response. And we're just a few days away from the holidays, and we know people are traveling and wanting to visit their loved ones. You know, New Brunswickers are very caring people. And in a lot of these communities and small towns and villages, we know how to look after one another. So I encourage you to do that. Check on your neighbors, especially vulnerable residents, to make sure that they are cared for and that their needs are being met. You know, maybe something as simple as driving them to a warming center, or just, you know, checking in on them to make sure that they're okay. Again, I ask those affected by this significant event to please be patient. MB Power is working very hard to restore power. I know our department is working with municipalities to ensure that your power gets back on, and in the meantime, that needs are met for our residents. So thank you again to NB Power and to Kyle and the team that is working so diligently on this event.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you to all podium guests. Merci beaucoup à tous nos conférenciers. We'll now proceed with questions from members of the media. Each reporter will have one question. You have the right to pose your question in the official language of your choice. Just to let you know, I will be alternating between members of the media who are present in the media room and those online. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions des journalistes. Chaque journaliste.
We will now move on to the questions from the media. Every reporter will have one question. You can ask the question in the language of your choice, and I will alternate between the journalists here in the room and those online.
And I'm wondering if any of you can give an update on the hospital road, the power situation, how people are doing down there. I know it's a difficult situation down there.
Yes. Before we had the news conference here, we had a meeting at 1 o'clock with all the Provincial Emergency Activation Committee. And in there we received news that Charlotte County has been hit quite heavily with debris, down power lines and the like. Getting around the community of St. Stephen, St. George, it's been difficult, as throughout the county. As it stands right now, for the hospital, for Charlotte County Hospital in St. Stephen, it is operational. They are trying to restore power via mobile generator as we speak. MB Power and DTI crews are on the scene, assisting the best that they can. We're hoping that the hospital itself will have power within the next 3 hours as a minimum. That's if all things go well with the current setup. As far as other areas down there, Blacks Harbor, a lot of damage, a lot of roads that were closed, and it's through the great effort of MB Power and the Department of Transport and Infrastructure that they've been able to open those roads up, albeit to one lane at least, that can have access to the wharf that leads to the ferry to Grand Manan. So right now, things are still precarious. There's still assessments that are being done, but there's a lot of people on site who are doing their best to get everything back to normal.
Thank you. Silas Brown, Global News.
Yeah, just from the power outage side, obviously Charlotte County was hit quite hard. The Central Capital Region was hit quite hard. I'm wondering, kind of if you could give us an idea of where outages were concentrated, or what parts of the province were kind of hit hardest.
Thank you for that. I would say the entire province was hit. Obviously the Charlotte County, Southwest New Brunswick was obviously one of the hardest hit, but we had outages throughout the entire province. Shediac, Bouctouche, Moncton, Fredericton, Grand Falls, Woodstock. Some of the least hit areas, I would say, are up in the Acadian Peninsula area, but there were outages throughout the entire province and still remain outages in the entire province.
Radio-Canada.
Ouais. Je comprends que vous pouvez.
I understand that you cannot give specific details on where power will be back up, but will the power be back up within 5 or 6 days? I'm saying 5 or 6 days because it will be Christmas. Do you think it's possible that people will not have power back on for Christmas?
Oh, veux-tu que je le réponds en français? OK. Vraiment, c'est trop de...
It is too early to give you an exact date. 5 or 6 days, I don't know yet. We need to take the time to assess the situation to see how long it will take to restore power. It's too hard to give you those times, but we will try our hardest.
Sam? Okay, Sam?
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Sam.
Okay, sorry about that, my apologies. My question was just if you can say if people were well enough informed for this storm. We've heard from a few folks that say they really didn't know it was coming. They would have done more to prepare, you know, water and flashlights for prolonged outages like this. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I can't speak to individuals within the community and how they receive their news or updates, but I am positive that I can say that, you know, last week, for example, by Friday, there was lots of advertisements and alerts that were going through websites. We were pushing out information from NBMO, Environment Canada, and Climate Change had put out indications on their websites. And I do believe I saw news as well where they were indicating the weather was going to get worse shortly. And as the weekend progressed on, when we entered into Sunday, there was a lot of information being pushed out as it became known. So we're always trying to work our best to get information out to the public, because that's a key for us. So if there's any way that we can help out, we look for any feedback that can be provided through our website. It would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Alan Cochran, Post Media.
Yes, thank you, Bruce. I'm calling from Moncton today, so I'm not sure how bad it was down in St. George and other areas, but it seems to me that this storm, we didn't have freezing rain or snow associated with it, which would have made it probably a lot worse. Does a storm like this help you prepare for other storms that could be worse as this winter progresses?
Yes, thank you for the question. From an NBMO perspective, unfortunately, yes, these storms do help us prepare for those that follow this year and then years to come. We try to learn as much as we can about our capabilities and our capacities as communities to bounce back from these types of events. So, you know, although this is a very unfortunate and serious event that we're dealing with now, it does give us some insight on how well we're prepared, and we'll use what we garner from this event to make sure that we're better prepared. Nicole, if you have anything.
Yeah, Kyle, I would say from MB Power's perspective, we do the same thing. Every storm allows us opportunities to learn from and make sure that we understand, you know, all the things that we, you know, did very well and things that we can improve on for future storms. And again, every storm is slightly different, but there are some similarities that I would say we can learn from. So we absolutely take those opportunities for future events.
Thank you both. Michael Tutton from Canadian Press.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. For Ms. Poirier, what was it about this storm? I believe there were some gusts over 100 kilometers an hour, but that's highly predicted by climate change to be occurring nowadays. So what was it about this storm that caused so many outages in your system?
Well, we're still in the process of doing assessments, but I would say right now the early assessments are around damage related to trees on our infrastructure, lines down, would probably be the majority of our outages at this point in time. Now, again, we're still in the process, early hours here of doing assessments. We have a number of incidents, obviously, that we have to review, but I would say that would be the majority of our damage at the moment.
Lindsay Jones, Globe and Mail.
And my question's been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. New MC, Radio-Canada.
Oui. Alors, ma question s'adresse surtout à Monsieur Austin.
My question is for Minister Austin. You said that lessons were learned in the past and that they were useful. What lessons are you talking about?
Lessons is something we learn from every storm in relation to, NB Power crews, where they're stationed, everything in relation to emergency management operations on how we deal and coordinate with these types of events, and working with municipalities. Because as you know, right now we understand, the weather is mild and unseasonably mild right now, but we do see in the forecast over the next few days it is going to get more seasonal. So, warming centers and coordinating with municipalities on those warming centers and things that we can do as a department to help assist these municipalities, local fire departments to be able to help their residents. So every storm is different, and every storm, again, helps us as a department to learn how to better coordinate and make sure that those communications are open.
Barb Simpson with Post Media.
Thanks, Bruce. This is a question for Minister Austin. It's in relation to the compliance orders that were issued for salvage dealers. I've spoken with some of these salvage yard operators who were given compliance orders. They're saying they're being asked to put up fences and no smoking signs on their properties, but they say the AIM fire wasn't the result of smoking or of someone, intentionally setting a fire on this site. It was the result of material batteries that shouldn't have been on site, being on site. What would you say to their concerns? And also, what is the province doing to reduce the inherent risk of what's being brought onto the scrapyard sites?
Well, to answer your second question, it's ensuring that our inspectors get on site and make sure that the salvage dealers are following regulations that are in place to protect local areas. And as you had mentioned, there are 10 that were not in compliance. And I do want to commend our inspectors in the department for how quickly they went out and did these inspections and come back with their reports. So the 10 that are not in compliance, I mean, whether it's a fence or a smoking sign, it is about ensuring that the salvage dealers are working in a way that is safe and that mitigates any risk of fire. It could be a car battery one day, it could be a cigarette the next day. So it's important that all these salvage dealers follow the rules that are in place for good reason, and I appreciate their cooperation in doing that.
Chad with CHCO.
Hi, my question's for Ms. Poirier. New Brunswick's clean energy strategy that was released last week indicated that the end of life for the Grand Banan generator will be between 2025 and 2026, and it won't be extended. While NB Power has assured that there will be an alternate backup brought online, there is currently no plan in place. What assurances and steps are being taken to ensure that the community will be protected during events like this?
So all of our assets have an end of life, I would suggest, and I think that was what was part of the report last week. So we are committed, and we're actually working on a plan. So I know we haven't communicated the plan yet, but we are working on a plan on what that backup source is going to look like. And we're also meeting with some of the key stakeholders like the mayors and others as well to discuss that plan.
Thank you. Teresa Blackburn with River Valley Sun. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's media availability. Thank you very much. Voilà la fin de notre mise à jour. Merci beaucoup.